Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're tuning in from. This is this week's episode of Lifestyle Pirates with me, Big J, and him, Adriano.
Hola.
Mate, I like your T-shirt this week. Well done on the colour code.
Thanks, mate. AC Milan.
Maybe,
Lifestyle Pirates.
Maybe we need to communicate the reds and maybe what colours we're wearing.
Well, look, your wardrobe's here. Mine isn't.
Valid. Anyway, to this week's guests, we have Diana, and I'm sorry, I'm not even going to try your second name.
It's going to be great. Just listen.
Diana Paola Alvarado.
Exactly right. Welcome, Diana. How are you this evening?
Fine, thank you. Very muggy, very little bit, sticky.
It's a little bit mugged. I like the nails, blue and pink.
Yes,
Ooh.
of course. There we are.
Is that so you know what left and right is?
No, not at all. It's just, I don't know. I like it.
Player one,
Part
player
of my
two.
personality, I guess.
I think it's cool. I think it's cool. Like the hat as well. Very good. Very good. I almost feel underdressed sitting here.
No, it's fine.
Thanks. We're wearing the exact same thing, John.
I rest my case. So, Diana, you are an actor. You're a producer. You're a director. You're a movement director. You're an intimacy director. You're a teacher. I mean, what do you do in your spare time?
I like to read, obviously, and then I'm always probably rehearsing.
Really?
Yeah, either one thing or another, or trying to create new projects, or talking to my colleagues about new projects or new things that are coming out. Trying to be in the in the movement.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I like it. I like it. So you're originally from Guatemala?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was it like growing up in Guatemala?
Oh wow! Well, it's the Latin American culture, isn't it? So there's a lot of color. There's a lot of family time. There's a lot of brother, sister, it's very, very, I'm guessing like the Italians, we are very family oriented. So it was great. I mean, I was 17 years there. Since I was born till I was 17, and I had to, that I left to study. Yeah. But it was great. I did my 15 years old, with when you do the whole thing and the dance and it's very Latin American.
Okay. And so what was the movement? So you're from a big family?
No, actually, we are a small family, but we surround ourselves with big families, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so what was the decision to move from Guatemala? Because I was reading your resume and you have traveled the world, which, I mean, I'm always in awe, but you've done Spain, you've done London, Paris, Sydney, Mexico, to name a few. Yeah. What was the decision to get into this, I guess, career? Like, why?
Well, when I was little, my parents saw that I was not a shy or a stay in the corner kind of child. Yeah. So they were like, we need to do something with her. Yeah. So my dad was very avid.
We need to do something with this one.
Yeah.
This one is going to be trouble.
Exactly.
Do not give her a microphone or a stage.
Exactly. And dad and mom were really into sports. Yeah. So I can do a lot of sports. I did modern pentathlon, I can do a lot of sports because they were like, we are going to make her a sport woman. And and I remember very vividly when they decided like this is not for her. I was doing tennis classes, and they used to put us in like a row, just you wait for your turn, right? So you can see all the little children going like that, and me, I was like singing with the racket like that. And then you have to, they kind of drop the ball and you have to hit it. And then my dad, because I remember that he was sitting down, and he would just look at me because I was like, the ball was coming, and I would be like, oh, it's gone, and then, oh, it's gone. And he's like, no, this is not for her.
It was all in the movement, zero execution.
Exactly. It was like, no. So
but it looks great.
It looks amazing, though. I thought I look amazing. I was like, well, I look amazing. Yeah. So then they decided maybe theater, and I started at 7, and I never stopped. It was a passion that I didn't know that I had, and that they brought into my life. And then,
And so sorry, John. So you came over to Sydney to start studying?
No. It was the only place that I didn't study. No, I went to Mexico. So I studied back in Guatemala in Arte Estudio École, which was the beginning. I did musical theater there. And you graduated when you were 13 for professional musical theater. Then after that, I did adult theater, something more, a bit more like Garcia Lorca, like the classics in Spanish. Then I moved at 17 to Mexico to study university. That was 4 years. Then I did a specialization.
What did you study at university?
Theater. So you studied actuación en teatro con especialización en actuación. So theater with specialization, I don't know how you say it, in acting.
Okay.
And then out of that, if you think about it as a doctor, you do general doctor and then you specialize in something, right? Pediatry or something like that. So it's the same in theater.
Okay.
So I did a specialization in physical theater, and that was in Paris, and that's in the school of Jacques Lecoq, École Jacques Lecoq. So I did the first year there, and then Lecoq has 4 schools around the world. Mm-hmm. It has one in Barcelona, the one in Paris, the one in London, and one in South America. So I was accepted to the second year, and then I managed my transfer to Barcelona. So I did the one in Barcelona. And after that, I moved to London for about 2 years, and I worked with 2 different theatre companies for children, doing theatre for children. And then I went back home, Guatemala, for 3 years, and I did my own theatre company, and I teach, and I did all these new plays and tried to bring a little bit of excitement and a new kind of air into the Guatemalan theatre. And then I decided to go and study my master's in London. So I went back and I did the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama. That's what I did, the movement. And then after that, I came to, in the second year, you can do, what's the word? Is the one, when you study something and then you have to do it, the practice.
Yes.
The practical. And I was accepted to do a practical at the Opera House. So I came to Sydney to do that. And then I went back home for another year, did more plays and more things. And then I thought, well, let's give it one more shot. And then I came back here. And then the pandemic, and then I'm still here. So, yeah.
Far out. Well, that concludes the show this week.
That was lovely.
Let's just take a step right back. What was it like for a little 15-year-old, 17-year-old?
17.
17-year-old, leaving family, leaving mum and dad from Guatemala and going to study theatre overseas? You must have been petrified. Were you excited? Like, what was that like?
No. So, the funny thing is, the petrifying thing and the scary came now that I'm older. When I was 17, I didn't know anything about the world, So I was like, whatever, let's do it. And my parents are very good at pushing me through things, and because they know me very well. So when I was 17, I remember one day before I had to leave to Mexico, I went to my parents' room and I said, no, I'm not doing it, Oh my God, I'm freaking out. And Dad was like, nope, you're going to do it. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. I'm going to die. And he's like, no, you're going to do it, because when the dream is so big and so massive, it's scary. But if I don't push you through, you're going to regret it your whole life. So after that, it kind of became easier, but then at the same time, it became scarier and scarier. Like, you don't believe it, but 2 years ago, when I had to come to Sydney, I was crying in the kitchen with my dad. I was like, I don't want to go. It's going to be too hard. How am I going to survive? And he was like, it's life. You have to go. And I'm like, I don't want to go. It's like, you have the opportunity, go. But it's because when you're older, you know how hard life is, right? You know that it's not going to be easy. You know that you're going to get heartbroken and things, it's life. Yeah. You're like, well, I just want to stay home. Yeah. Why would I want to leave? Like, oh my God, I should have stayed home longer. And so, when I was 17, it was amazing. I was 17, living by myself at uni, doing theatre. It was long nights of talking about changing the world with the theatre and, dancing and rehearsing and eating tacos at 2 a.m. in the morning,
Good tacos?
Good, amazing tacos.
Good to know.
Yeah. So, that's what it was when I was 17.
And I like the fact you said when the dream is so big as well, because I think when you're young, your cock-up ratio is a lot bigger. Yeah. You can make mistakes. You've got a blank canvas. And as you get older, that obviously decreases.
Exactly. Which is why you get scared. You're like, I don't want to leave. Let me stay at home until I'm 40. But no, they didn't let me.
So when you went back to Guatemala, you said you brought something back to the theatre there that wasn't done before, something different. You brought your own flair. What was that flair that you brought back to Guatemala? So
it's physical theatre, and my kind of, let's say my, how do you say, my brand, I do minimalistic theatre because I do a lot with physicality. So I don't do, for example, blackouts. I don't do like blackouts.
Sorry. Blackouts for me is like on a Saturday night.
one too many whiskeys.
Have to be a bit more specific.
So in theatre, you have blackouts. So basically, when you change the scene.
Okay.
So that the lights go out.
Okay. I only asked for John.
Yeah,
because he was looking there a little bit blank.
Act like our audience / hosts know nothing.
That was it.
No, thank you. That's fine. And so I don't use blackouts, for example. The light is on all the time, or I don't do it in conventional spaces. Now that is being done, obviously in Europe a lot and here too, but back at home, at least in Guatemala, it wasn't done yet.
And when you say conventional spaces, you mean traditional on a stage?
Yeah, exactly. So for example, I did it in a car park, and then I did it in a building that was being built, like half, with concrete and stuff, and I did it in a mall, in one of the spaces that was empty. Like I brought all that to Guatemala, and that kind of gave that beautiful, unique flavor, and that was good.
What's that scene called? Like, is there a different type of name for that sort of theatre?
Well, you can call it, I guess. No, you can say traditional theatre, I guess, and then you can say modern theatre, but it's more like when you see, for example, when you see a Shakespeare, and it's not done in a conventional way, you know, it's done with genes, and the language might be the same, but the movement and the way that they, that they portray themselves is not like the 1800s. Sorry, the 1400s.
Victorian
exactly. Okay. So that's kind of like modern, I would say.
Was Guatemala ready for the kind of vibe that you were bringing back?
No, it was hard.
Were they pretty agnostic?
It was hard. It was hard at the beginning, and I don't blame them. I think I came way too strong. Now that I'm a bit older, I'm like,
Is that a good decision?
No, I think I could have been nicer. I was very.
You were young.
I was young. I'm not gonna lie.
Big cock up ratio still to go.
Exactly. I was 27, so
that's still young.
I don't know. I think I was demanding too much, and I was being too like, oh my God, we have to do it like this and everything. And I think I forgot to pay my respects to the people that have been grinding all that time and, keeping it up at least there, the theatre. Yeah. So I went it's always good that obviously young people come, but I guess with the right attitude, and sometimes I think I missed the mark there.
So did you come back as a hot shot, you thought?
Yeah, well, I did.
Yes.
There she is.
I am.
Exactly.
But now when I come back, I'm a bit more open, I'm a bit more about, let's have a conversation, let's see, like not like, well, this has to be done.
Wisdom, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Not like, well, this is how to be done. If you don't know, but you're stupid.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. So I learned.
So movement director, you started off, I think that was one of the first things that you said. What exactly is a movement director?
So a movement director is the director that concentrates in the physicality of the actor. So we work in pro of the actor. We make an ensemble. We're not choreographers. I think choreographers, they work with, what is it? It's someone that writes with movement, a choreographer, I would say. And us as movement directors, we work with the relationship with the actor and with the movement that comes within the play. So let's say up until now, when you go and read, you have the first reading of a play, you go and you sit down at a table and basically you read. So where's the movement? The play is asking a movement. So I work with, for example, with your movement. If I work with you, I can see that you're fiddling your, your little fingers and everything. And I would say, well, maybe, what is it? Are you nervous? Is it that? And what is the, maybe that's a yes. And then I say, well, what does the character need? Is it that nervousness? Should we use that? Yeah. For the character? And maybe in the play, it's not the pen in your hand. Maybe it's just a movement inside. So it's a bit like, maybe it's the breathing. Maybe it's in your eyes. Maybe that movement, we can put it in your eyes.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. And also within a big frame, also, for example, if you think about opera and the movement of the chorus, it's the whole movement of the chorus that I do also. I work very closely with the director. The director and I work very closely to see what the movement of the play and of the actors we need. And it starts obviously from rehearsal. So again, it's about making an ensemble of the group, an ensemble of the people that are working in the play. to have a great experience, basically, and to get out that movement that the text and the play and the actors need to make it amazing. So I don't know if you saw the play War Horse. Well, so it's puppets. It's big puppets, and their actors are inside of the puppets. So it's about animal movement. So if you think about, for example, Planet of the Apes, the movement of the ape, it's movement direction, If you think about, there was a play 2 years ago called The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night Time. It came to Sydney. It was
one of my favorites.
It was done. It was done in London. Yeah. That's all physicality. That's all movement direction. That's it. It combines. It can combine acrobatics. It can combine. Like depends on where you're coming. Like, what's your background? My background is Lecoq, which is physical theatre. So I use a lot of acrobatics, a lot of other kind of movement that go into the play. Yeah.
So I'm looking at, in terms of setting the play up, and let's talk theatre, because I'm assuming this can transition into film and things, but we'll come on to that. But whenever I've been to theatre and been fortunate enough in the UK, you have the music, so you got the conductor, you got the orchestra kind of under the stage and just in front. Music plays a massive part, so I can imagine you're working with the conductor, they're working with you, you've got the director and the producer, is that right? And any other parties involved?
No. So, for example, I would say more with that music would be the opera.
Right. How about Broadway theatre? Like, when you talk about Phantom of the Opera and Les Mis and
so, for example, that's choreography.
Right. Okay.
That's 5, 6, 7. That's choreography.
So choreography is, if I've understood correctly, is more of the moves that you make, and then movement director would be more of the authenticity of the movement.
It's more working with the actor. So, for example, a choreographer, I would say, you need to do, what is it, like a ballet movement or something, or I forgot right now the movements. Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. Rangeté or comme ça. And, you would hire, dancers specifically for that, to make that kind of movement. The choreographer needs that. So I would work with whatever the actor gives me.
Yeah.
So for example, in musical theatre, it's not very common to have a movement director. Yeah. The choreographer is doing most of the work.
Yeah. So how did you carve that out for yourself?
What do you mean?
Well, how did you, I guess, say that a movement director kind of goes into the theatre with the world if it hasn't been there before?
Well, it's always been there. I mean, the first time that they used the term movement director was in 1954 in London.
Right.
It was a director of movement. Was the first time that they used it. Before that, they used to call them choreographers.
Okay.
I think in London it's a bit easier. The movement director is quite big now. There, they have. There was the Black British Awards were done, I think, about 3 days ago. One of my colleagues, Ingrid McIntosh, she won for the movement director that she did in Romeo and Juliet.
Wow.
And it was massive for us, Ita O'Brien, she's doing intimacy director and movement director too for film and TV, and she's doing great for us. So I think it's just that the directors understand the need of a movement director or an intimacy director on stage or on the rehearsal room, which is important. We're probably not there once the play opens. We're there before, we're there from the beginning. We're there from the rehearsal room,
You just use movement director and then intimacy director. I noticed on your kind of bio that there's two separate things. What's the difference?
So intimacy director is about, all the intimacy scenes, maybe sex scenes or kissing scenes or rape, violent scenes.
Right.
So there's a way of directing that is safe for the actor.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talks with the director and with the actors and everything. And there's a way of working that towards whatever we need, either in film or either in theatre.
Yeah. So how would that? So let's use a kissing scene. How would that work? What would be the conversations you're having?
Well, there is a lot of things. So, for example, there's a lot of paperwork first.
As in terms of like signing of waivers
and that. Yeah, there is.
Wow.
Really?
Because you don't know. You really don't know the actors, isn't it? So you don't know what can happen or what can you trigger if you don't handle it well,
Okay. Yeah. This is fascinating. What are you triggering?
Like, I don't know, like, we all have, triggers and everything, and you can't just expect someone to just appear. Like, in the old days, it was to be like that, well, you're there, we'll kiss. Well, where are the boundaries? What's the beginning? What's the end? What are we going to do? How is it? Oh, it's fine, just kiss. Well, no, can't be like that anymore. What is it? Is it going to be a little choreography? Fine, let's work it out. What are you comfortable with?
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with. What are you not comfortable? Where do you want to be touched?
Yeah.
And you're allowed to say, well, I don't want to be touched here or here or here, whatever. And then it's like, okay, well, that's out of the question, right? Okay, so we're going to work with what you are comfortable being touched, and the other person is also comfortable. So then you can create something which is in boundaries, which means that you can explode and you can actually create and you can actually be free because you know what your boundaries are and you're not allowed to overstep that.
Okay. I always thought it was the director just saying, this is the way you're going to kiss, I need this scene to look like that.
Well, that was before, after the whole Me Too movement and everything. I think we gave a lot of more importance into these kind of talks because it's not like that. Well, what if you're in the middle of the scene and they say, the whole thing of, I was kissing and suddenly, well, it's not tongue. He puts the tongue inside of you. Well, what do you say? Well, you say no. Oh, it was the character. Well, that's bullshit. You know what I mean?
Man, I could have got myself out of a lot of trouble in my life if I said that.
You know what I mean? It's like
you'd be knee deep in paperwork.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's bullshit. Yeah, you can't believe that. Come on.
So sorry, because you said something there. So has that been on the back of the Me Too movement, or has that evolved over time?
I believe it was always there.
Right.
It's just, again, because a few brave women, speak up.
Yeah.
Then everyone started to speak up and everyone started to put a little bit more attention to that situation, how safe it is, If you think about a rape scene, what I mean? Like, it's very, very hard.
Yeah.
How do you do that? You can't just say, oh, well, now we go with a rape scene, right? So go do it. How? You need to have some boundaries. You need to have some feel safe. How are we going to cut after that? Or for example, domestic violence. You see, when I did Othello, I did domestic violence towards the end when he kills her. That took a lot of rehearsal and a lot of things, because it's not just what I trigger in the actors, it's what I'm going to trigger without knowing into the audience, which is why now in theaters they say, violent scenes or something, and for example, it says like suicidal scenes, and then they says there's a phone number if you need to call, because you don't know what you're triggering in the other person.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, can it be traumatizing for the actors?
Of course. Yeah. Of course it can. If you don't have a proper way of doing it, it can't be.
Yeah.
It can't be, because you're there. You have to be, let's say someone has to beat the shit out of you every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. 8:05, because that's when the scene is. That's what we train so much as an actor. That's what we train so much as teachers and as director and as a movement director and intimacy director, to make sure that the actor and everyone in the production is safe. Otherwise, there's no point.
So you mentioned that theatre, when you study in theatre, at the end you sort of go for your masters or you specialise in something, and you chose to do movement direction. What made you want to do that over all of the other sort of categories that would have been available?
So physical theatre, Lecoq, for example, because it's physical theatre, it's all about, for example, we would say fire, and then the movement of fire, or the movement of animals, or the movement of the neutral masks and everything, And I thought the movement masters would give me the language and go a little bit more deep into my practice, which was physical theatre. So what it actually did was expand into it. And I knew as an actor, I always knew that I wanted to, that I wasn't like a method actor, or like if I did a Shakespeare or something, I wouldn't just stay. I can feel the emotion, so I was sure that there was more out there.
And for people that don't know what a method actor is,
John will explain it right now.
I've always got the audience in mind and myself.
Well, let's say, the one that works with the test, and let's call it Stanislavski. He's the method, the author of method acting. It's like a technique. It's a technique of theatre. There are different techniques. There's Meisner, there's, Stanislavski, there's Grotowski, there's Lecoq. So there's a lot of them. So I'm in one, which is physical theatre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I read as well. This is blowing my mind. We're going to go off on so many tangents. Yeah. So on the different acting styles, because I actually read that you worked, you were a judge in the World Monologue Games in 2020, which is another way of acting. So what's a monologue for people that don't know?
So a monologue, it's sometimes is the soliloquio. I don't know how you say that in English, but the like a big part of the text that one person says. So, for example, if you think about, I believe is Hamlet, to be or not to be, that is the question, and then there's this whole monologue about it with the skull. So that's a monologue, the actor or the character, in his thoughts or talking,
And you were judging them on how they delivered that monologue?
So the interesting about that, I have to say, the beautiful thing about that is because it was in the middle of the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
So they contacted me and they were...
So you would be here, yeah? You'd be in Sydney?
Yeah, I was in Sydney, but they contacted me and I did it. And it was because it was around the world. Yeah. I would have people from the Middle East, people from Asia, people from, Europe. And the beautiful thing was that the monologues, it doesn't matter what it was, depends of their background. That's how we're delivered. So for me, it was more about truth and emotion, not so much about, what the background was or how their English was, or it wasn't like that at all. It was about, do I believe it? Am I feeling something? And it was beautiful because it was from judging, children from 5-6 years old up until teenagers.
And were there any surprises where you thought, okay, we've got a person from a country and maybe I think they're going to be like this, but they actually blew your mind?
Yes.
Give me an example.
I believe it was from Pakistan, I believe. It was the little boy. No, it was a teenager. The teenager. He did, I believe he did one of Shakespeare ones. And I think it was the whole, I think it was in his basement that he was doing it, or, somewhere where he was surrounded by boxes, was the only place that he could find.
Yeah.
And he had this little dingy light and everything, but it was real.
Yeah.
It meant that I don't know if his parents knew, but he grabbed his little camera, he went downstairs, he put it there, he was like, I'm going to do it. And he did it. And it blew my mind. So I can totally see, obviously, when someone has been to school, or study or anything, you can see the technique or anything, exactly the polish. And then you can see the raw, pure talent, the diamond in the, what is it? The diamond in the rough, yeah. And then you can see, oh my God, if I can just, polish you a bit, it's going to be amazing. So that was quite cool.
Yeah, cool. Okay, awesome.
That was quite cool. Yeah.
And so again, when I read your bio, you're a lady of many hats, other than the one of this evening as well. What do you prefer? Because you're a director. Like, what does that entail in theatre? And I guess when you've done the film as well, and what are you doing there? Like, again, imagine we know nothing.
Now that I have all this other thing, like we said, like it's very much my own thing, Like, for example, I did Romeo and Juliet, and I thought I want to do it like in a museum, like so when so everything was white.
So a director has carte blanche, like they are driving. They
are driving. It's their vision.
Yeah,
is their vision, And I'm a movement director working for a director or an intimacy director or an actor. I'm in the service of that vision.
Yeah,
of course, there's conversations and everything to be able to achieve that vision, but basically that's it, is the vision of the director.
Yeah.
And then a producer comes in and says, well, I believe in your vision, or, well, let's see how we make this more manageable.
So let's go to like Romeo and Juliet, because I'm intrigued now, because everybody knows that story.
Yeah.
I think most people grow up around the world with a little bit of Shakespeare on their curriculum.
That makes cigars.
Very good. Is there pressure as a director to come up with a new vibe of Romeo and Juliet? Like, if you look at, I guess in my lifetime, you've had the traditional stuff that you've read. You've then had the Baz Luhrmann stuff with like Leo and Claire Danes. Yeah. Then you've even had like Gnomeo and Juliet as well with the gnomes, which I think was wicked. Like, is there
favourite?
Oh, it's quality. Is there pressure when you've got a story with such heritage and such meaning?
I think it is not anymore. You see, before it was. But then we understood that Shakespeare, we can bring it to the modern times, because the amazing thing, if you want, or the sad thing, it's still happening, isn't it? Like if you think about teenagers in love, it's bloody Romeo and Juliet. You know, if you think about, you know, jealousy and you know,
conflicting families
and everything, and even so like jealousy, or you know, you think in Othello, you know, the monster of green eyes. You know, it's still now happening. You know, we have it every day. So the fact that we still have that kind of text and that kind of words and that kind of poetry, and be able to express ourselves 400 years later, I think is amazing. You see, I when I was thinking about doing Romeo and Juliet, I thought I can either do it very modern, you know, very, you know, lots of kissing, lots of, you know, like teenager love, or I can do it over 60s. You know, what happens when you fall in love when you're 60? When they all say, you know, when you get older, you become a child again. I thought that would be amazing. Yeah. But I didn't, you know, I was missing a few actors, so sad, because I thought that's amazing. You know, now I'm giving ideas. But, you know, but it's good, you know.
You heard it first.
I know, right?
But I thought about it, you know, can you imagine that? All actors above 60. And you still believe them, because you know what it is to fall in. You know that there's no age for love, isn't it? No. You can 30, 40, 50, 60, you know, 80 years old, and you still find love. And you go mad with love. You can't control it. So that's the beauty of it, you know.
So do you prefer being a director or a producer?
What I found, sadly, is that because it's always very hard.
Give me these ones. Oh.
Exactly. Oh, so sad.
There's so much movement on this week's show. It's off the charts.
I'm loving it.
Is that in the end I produce my own things, because and obviously sometimes I have my producer, Valerie Andrews, by the way. She's now in Scotland. Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye, pals. Because it's very hard that someone believes in you again, in your vision. It's very hard. So I started producing my own things, and then people, I would, you know how they say, build it and they will come? It kind of happened that way. Okay. So I just have to make sure that I jump into it and do it. It might be a little nitty-gritty, just a little bit here, a little bit there, and then I'll do it. And then if someone likes it, great. Yeah. It's my tribe, you know. I'm starting to build my own little network.
So you can direct and produce at the same time?
Yes.
Okay. So it's hard to get that out. Yeah, it would be.
It's hard, but you know.
Because would you bounce off a producer as a director, or your vision is your vision and you're not going to stray from it?
No, normally, obviously, ask Valerie for when I did Romeo and Juliet. I remember the kissing scene. She was like, "They're gonna tell us no," and I'm like, "No, it's gonna be fine." I was like, "No, Diana's way too much." And I'm like, "No, I think it's fine. I think look," and she's like, "Oh my God, they're not gonna let us open," and you know. And then when I did Othello, and it was an all-female cast, she was like, "I don't think they'll get it," and I'm like, "No, they will get it." And it's like, "You think so?" It's like, yeah. So maybe it's too much, you know. But she was on board with the vision. So, but you know, she was always making sure that she was like, "Okay, just making sure that we keep this open. Yeah. I don't want to be, you know."
But you did that in Guatemala, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
So how did that go down? Like an all-female cast of a Shakespeare.
Oh, it was
story in Guatemala.
It was quite interesting. I remember that they called it first lesbian play. Because they didn't know. Because, you know, when you think about it, if you haven't heard about it, you think all female cast, you think, well, women kiss women, right? So, lesbian. Yeah. And I think the beautiful surprise that they had was that they weren't women. It was the characters. You didn't distinguish, you know, after a while. You were like, oh, interesting. Yeah. You know, it's the story, that's what drives you, not the fact if she's a woman or not. So it was a wild ride. It was a wild ride, I have to say, but it was great. Like the people that love it. The people that didn't love it, and some people come in even without seeing it. So
yeah,
it was
that's
great.
Fine.
You know. Yeah.
What's the story of Othello? So I know you know a lot of Shakespeare stuff. I've not heard of Othello before.
Othello is the Moor of. He's a Moor, so he marries this girl called Desdemona, and he has his best friend called Cassio and Iago. So the whole story is Iago wants to be, I believe it's their general. Oh my God, it's amazing. I can tell the story in Spanish, but not in English. So I'm trying to translate in my mind right now. I'm like,
I think we've got some listeners in Spain if you want to crack on.
I was like, goddamn. And then, so basically, you know, he convinces Othello, Iago convinces Othello that Desdemona is cheating on him. And they get married, you know, in secret and everything, Othello and Desdemona. And, you know, he keeps saying, you know, she's cheating on you. She's sleeping with your best friend, Cassio, with your first general. She's doing it. And he becomes crazy jealous, insanely jealous. And in the end, he kills her. He can't stand it, and he kills her. And she's begging for her life. She's like, no, I didn't do it. You know, I didn't. She's like, no, yes, you did. You cheated on me, you know. And it all comes to a handkerchief that she gives someone, and then it ends in the wrong hands. And that's why he says, no, you did it.
Spoiler, right?
Absolutely.
So what was the reason for the decision to go for an all-female cast?
Because you know, if you think about any play that you see, the woman doesn't have a lot of range, isn't it, of emotions. And, you know, it's either the girlfriend or the woman in love or the prostitute. Like, there's not, you know, there wasn't, at least back at home in Guatemala, the plays that we're doing, there's not enough. And I believe actresses deserve that range of emotion, that kind of level of pressure to doing a character that is so complex. And that was the decision behind that. I thought, well, let's have this amazing group of women, you know, just doing the play. I have a photo, but I'll show you later.
Have you got a favorite play that you directed, and is there one that sticks out where you think, I nailed that, and you know, because there's a hell of a lot of reading on your bio.
Yeah, I think Commedia dell'arte, which I did Trufaldino, and that was an actor in that one. I was the main character. Trufaldino.
So you directed it and you acted in it?
No. In that one, when I did it at uni, I just acting. Then I redid it and I directed it in acting.
Was it better the time when you did it?
I think I did. Oh my God. The director at that time is going to kill me. It's going to be like, no, Diana. My God. So sorry. Sorry, Iralda. He's my director. Yeah, I think I did way much movement that when he did, but that was because, again, I studied the whole thing.
Yeah.
I nailed that character. That character is one of my favorite ones. It's and you know, it's Commedia dell'arte, so we have masks. So the whole movement is very different because every mask has its own movement. The character is already something that has been done. Well, you know, Commedia dell'arte in Italy comes from, you know.
Of course you know, don't you?
From Venezia.
There you go.
Exactly.
And how about on the production side? Is there one of your favourites that sticks out?
In the production, I don't know. I think El Insólito Caso del Señor Morton. So I don't know how you say it in English. The Insolite Case of Mr. Morton, I guess, is one of my favorites. I did it without any scenography, nothing, just light work, and it was all physical. And it was black comedy, so we did a little bit of raunchy stuff, and it was quite interesting. And again, because it was done in Guatemala, it was all like, oh my God, but they were still watching it, so I'm like, ha ha, I know you like it.
What was that, John? Oh, what was scenography? John asked. What does that? What does that word mean?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay, well, no, it's fine.
Sorry.
It's fine. No, it's fine. It's fine. So did you see everything that, you know, if all the things that are on stage, the props and
that's what I sort of thought.
Yeah, so that's
so without any of
without
that,
anything.
it's just
the black box. I love to work with black boxes.
Wow.
So for example, black box in a chair or black box and just lighting. So the lighting gives you different rooms and different ambiances.
So does that open up a lot, like an endless amount of creativity
for me it does. Yeah? Oh, I love it. Yes, I love it. And you know what I love the most is like actually the audience has to imagine it with me.
Yeah.
So if I don't do a good job, then I'm screwed, you know? And again, it's beautiful because, I don't know, let's say the actor says, oh, you know, I'm here in my house. See, I imagine, I don't know, maybe a wooden house. Maybe you imagine a brick house. Maybe you imagine a palace. Like, that's the beauty of it if I don't have anything on stage.
He's a British palace.
I was thinking more of a castle. I remember actually going to see A Woman in Black when I was a kid. And the stage was just it was just like a carriage. It was basically like a suitcase, and the two guys were sitting on the suitcase for pretty much the whole thing, and you had to imagine everything around. That was very, very cool.
What sort of theatre is that called?
I call it black box theatre, but I don't know how you call it in English. In español es como caja negra.
Well, that's what the
translation
will be, I guess. So I want to ask, because I was thinking this, right, and this could be, I'm sorry if this is offensive, but with intimacy directing and movement directing, is there a use for that in sort of pornography as well? Because you see, it's really rigid and, well, not that I've ever watched it. No, it's not very natural when you see that stuff. So would there be a use for that sort of directing in sort of pornography and stuff like that? Is it used for that?
I wouldn't know, because if I have to take a guess, I would say pornography, you're actually doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're actually...
You know, when someone's, like someone making love or, you know, having intimate sex in comparison to pornography, where it's just, you know, you're there to do a job sort of thing. There's a big difference.
There is a massive difference. Like, you don't get, like, in intimacy, you never get penetrated. You know, like that's porn.
No, yeah, I know that. I meant the movement to it. You know,
what
to
make
it look real. To make it, because it doesn't look real in pornography.
Well, because you're doing it with someone that maybe you don't like. Like, I don't know. You know, like I really don't know. I would imagine. I don't know. I have no idea, to be honest.
So I was wondering, do they have those directors?
I wouldn't know.
No. Okay.
Because I don't know.
Well, the next 5 questions are
no, I really don't know. I really don't know. And I guess I'm pretty sure I know that they do the whole film industry behind that. And I'm pretty sure they have their own thing. And it must be amazing, to be honest. I mean, to be able to make that, you know, I have respect for that. But I wouldn't know, to be honest.
Okay. So on that, you raise a good point. So with what you do, do people get confused? Is there a misconception around movement director, intimacy director? You know, do people misunderstand that and just their mind, maybe like Adriano's, goes off on a very different tangent?
Yes, it does. It does. And, you know, it's... I
hope I didn't offend you.
No. I mean, it is a bit like, really? Really, you think that's what it is? This is what I do.
No. I said, is there any use for them?
Do you think that I'd be dressed like this if I was making that millions of money? No. No, I think there is, but again, it's because it's something that it hasn't been talked about enough. You know what I mean? Like, if it's not talked about enough, then how would you know? It is still a bit like, but I'm glad that people ask. I prefer that than people not asking and just assuming and just saying, oh yeah, I met, you know, this girl that is into me, and it's like, well, dude, you didn't ask. You know, I prefer people ask and open the conversation for it than not having it at all.
Well, I think actually, rather than I'm aware about going off on a massive tangent here, but I think there's definitely a place for what you do in the real life. You know, again, when you mentioned boundaries, being comfortable, you know, not that we're all going to be doing things on stage and things like that, but I think there's a definite place in life for the skills that you have learned and the questions I think you can imagine. Yeah, I'm not saying we need to sign a piece of paper to go out on a date. You know,
but there is
with your husband or wife, but actually there's some probably very real things that you can take from that.
There is. Like, for example, I mean, there's a lot of misconception thinking. I mean, I think it's good that you say, you know, you have to ask about the girl now, you know, if she wants to be kissed or not. But I will also reverse it to, you have to ask the guy.
You know, and then how about same sex?
Exactly.
Because there's a lot more now. There's a lot more same sex scenes in film and in theatre as well. And I can imagine that could be quite confronting for people that it might be their first time doing it. You know, it might be very different for someone else doing that thing as well. So
exactly, this is why you have all this, you know, all this paperwork and everything. You know, when you put up, for example, the ad for the casting and everything, you specify exactly what needs to be done. So it's either someone that feels comfortable or someone that wants to cross that barrier and feels comfortable with it. And, you know, so that's why everything is very, very well explained. So then there's no confusion. Which is, I think, what you say, you know, is something to actually take out into the real life now, into our you know, our everyday kind of thing. You know, if you go on a date, you make sure that the other person is comfortable. You know, if you want to kiss someone, and you can feel that the other person maybe don't want to kiss you, maybe you say, well, it's okay, you can say no.
Yeah.
You know, and then the other person comes and say, well, actually, I don't want to kiss you. And you're like, well, okay, that's fine. You know, I respect that. Of course, I will feel hurt. Like everyone, you know, nobody wants to be rejected. But, you know, it's part of it, you know, of being able to say, well, I respect you and I'm listening to you and what your needs are.
So out of interest, have you seen your role as movement director and intimacy director evolve over time with I guess changes that's gone on in the world and you know, again, you know, social media, a lot, OnlyFans, TikTok, all that kind of stuff, because that's like real life nowadays. And I think maybe that's things that people have to be aware of, male and female, getting into the theatre and getting into acting and roles in that way.
So what was the question?
I was going to say, so have you seen your role and I guess things evolve from what it used to be to present day with more people on screen now? Yeah, there
is more people on screen now. I don't know about. I wouldn't know if. I would say with me, for example, I can see the evolution in me. You know, when I started to do some intimacy direction, what I did, 4 years ago to what I do now.
Yeah,
I think I've evolved and I understand more things. For example, the paperwork that comes with it. You see, before 4 years ago, I didn't know about all that paperwork.
Yeah.
The language that you use, you know, is not always, you know, it's not always kind of touching. You know, you use other kind of language. The techniques that you use, like I can see all that evolving in me. Now with social media and everything, I think it's more, again, the awareness of, you know, there's movement direction, there's intimate direction. There's no need, like if you're a director and you're not sure about a sex scene or something, well, hire an intimacy director, you know. Don't wing it, you know, because now there's always been, but now there's more people willing to help you and willing to help your actors, you know. And I would say like that. Same with social media and theatre and film.
Does it work the same on TV than it does in theatre?
No, it doesn't. It's very different.
Because my thinking is you've got a lot more cameras and lights.
Yeah, it's very different. Again, is how you work with the director and how you work with as an intimacy director on set. How you work with the actors and everything. Like it's very different because again you have many cameras. Sometimes you have a lot of people on the set. Sometimes you don't. There's different. Sometimes they need nude scenes, so you know the camera gets really close, so you have to make sure that everything is covered and you know everything is safe. Again, in theater you can fake it a little bit more. You know you can turn it around a bit more. You know.
Do you have a preference?
I think in theater is a bit more, for me at least, is a bit more straightforward. You know, we're going to do, for example, can I say blowjob here? Yeah. Sure. For example, there's a blowjob scene and, you know, basically you have the guy, you know, with his back against the audience, just doing the movement, right? And the other person just basically what you see from the other side, obviously you're not in the audience, you see just the girl doing this, like.
So your imagination's...
You know, that's it. You just look at him like...
Look it up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, exactly. You know, because... And the other person in the audience thinking, oh my God. And it's like, well, no, like, you know, like I'm doing nothing. Basically, just seeing my hands in his butt. And the person is going wildly crazy thinking, my God, it's actually happening. So when I was doing, for example, El Insólito Caso de Junior Morton, there was this scene when my character had sex with a dog. And
with a dog?
With a dog, yeah.
Okay.
So it was a whole thing, you know, she put jam in her, you know, in her inner thigh, and it was this whole movement, you know, like choreography and everything. And we rehearsed that so much. And it was all about counting, you know, 1, 2, 3, here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's the only thing, because it was going with the music. So that's the only thing they were thinking. And I had this very long skirt. So his head was always in my knees, and he had to push with his shoulders, my weight, you know, up, and then kind of, because it was supposed to be a dog, kind of pushing me, you know, this leg, which was, you know, the audience was seeing, let's say the left leg, you know, stayed the same, but the right hand was actually grabbing my leg, trying to pull me down, you know. It was very hard, but the audience think he actually went all the way in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, he's, miles away from my, you know, my intimacy parts or my intimate parts. And again, it's all about the perception, you know, your imagination is going wild.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell he's going to get you all the way up there. You know, you're sweating, you know, the lights are there. You're like trying to do the scene.
So I think we need
That's the same.
I mean, I don't know where to go from that. You see the game last night? So do you think? So I'm kind of curious by your thoughts now, because you obviously love theatre.
Yeah.
You've done a bit of film and TV.
A little bit.
What's your preference?
You see, I think I will go more into film a little bit more. I haven't had the opportunity yet, but I would love that.
Why would you love that? Because I get the sense from you, you're hugely creative.
Yes.
And love using your imagination. But is that the same? Would you be able to have that same journey and use your creativity in film?
No, probably. I don't know. Maybe. I wouldn't know. But I think what I love more is in this stage in my life is also the teaching part.
Yeah.
The directing part, and to be able to be so close to the other creatives, and have feedback and bounce from them or their ideas and everything, and that's the beauty of it. So I think I would love to do the film because of that. Working very closely to the actors, seeing the whole thing, the crew and everything, and talking to this kind of different vision, because it's not, it's a lens that you have to, make sure. And I think I would, learn so much about it. Also with TV, I think TV is a whole other monster by itself, and I think it's great too. Yeah.
Why is TV a different monster? Is it because things go for longer?
I think it's a different monster because it's a different kind of tempo, timing, filming, and everything. Depends on what is it that you're doing. Are you doing a series? Are you doing a soap opera? What are you doing? And the other one, you're doing a film. So you have certain times, certain restrictions, certain things. I'm guessing it's the same in TV, but it's the whole thing. TV, film, and theater, 3 different things.
If you were to act in a theatre, what would be the play?
Oh God. Ooh. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know. Ooh, I'm excited now. Let's see. Probably Madame de Sade. That's I don't know. See, I'm a big fan of Judi Dench.
Okay. Yep.
Dame Judi
Dench, yeah.
Of course. And I saw her in the play called Madame de Sade. And I always thought that's a part that I should do at some point.
And how about film?
Oh, film. I don't know. I think maybe film. Oh, God. See, I love Denzel Washington in film. He is my favorite actor. Yeah. So whatever that
Denzel Washington?
Yeah, Denzel Washington.
Why is that?
I think he's amazing. I believe every bloody thing that he does. I really do. I think he's natural, and he said it so well. And I'm like, I believe you, man.
Yeah.
I really do believe you.
What's your go-to Denzel Washington film? I'm curious now. I'm a big fan of The Equalizer, by the way.
Oh, Denzel Washington. I don't know. Fences was amazing.
Okay.
Also, I saw it the other day. What was it? The one that he won the Oscar for. What was it with Ethan Hawke? Oh God.
I thought you were a big fan, Diana.
I know. I lost it. I'm sorry. But anyway, yeah.
That's what happens when you put people on the spot.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, come on.
Right. And how about TV?
I'm trying to think of what he looks
Training
like.
Day. Training Day.
Okay, I've seen Training Day. Yeah, good. And how about TV-wise? What would you want to do there?
Oh, TV. I don't know. I'm always curious about the whole host kind of thing of a show.
Oh, right, okay, like a game show host.
Game show. You know what I mean? Like, so let's play a Rumble. It just seems like
Tell him what he's wrestling.
Tell him what he's won, Johnny. I can see you in. There's a great show on Stan at the moment called The Great. It's about Catherine the Great.
Yeah.
I can see you in that.
Now you see. Now you.
That's
the one. That's the one. So yeah.
So with your things that you've learned, because I know you teach as well.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know where you get your time. With the skills that you've learned from theatre, acting, producing, directing, what can you bring into like the modern day, your day to day?
You have to say. What's the question?
So with all the skills that you've learned, being the acting, the directing, the teaching, what skills can you bring into like modern day to day? Has it enabled you to do?
Yes.
What has it enabled you to do?
I think it's about communication. It's about listening. It's about reading your physicality, being aware if you are comfortable or not, being curious, being inquisitive. theater is about, for me, is a poetic way of representing life. Mm-hmm. To be able to do that, I think you have to observe life, and don't forget to live life. You know, so any emotion that comes my way, I try to explode it, because I know I will need it at some point. You know, I think the greatest actors are the one that can have this different kind of fan of emotion. And that's the beauty of it. And I believe there's some emotions that you don't get until you're older in life, you know, grief or, you know, heartbreak. And I think there's also, for example, a different way of having a heartbreak when you're a teenager to when you're 20s to when you're 40s to when you have a divorce to when you're, you know, I believe that's what I've learned to live life and to feel it, to serve my craft in my profession.
Wow.
Jeez, that's powerful.
Wow. Mate, that is fantastic. I love it how every opportunity for an emotion, you like to explore it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's,
you know, there's no point.
Poetry right there, man.
Yeah. There's no
That's
point.
brilliant.
You know,
Yeah.
there's no point in having a heartbreak. It's terrible, I know. Don't get me wrong. But it's you. You know, it's your pure, raw emotion, a heartbreak. You know, and then it's terrible. And then when you think about the other characters in your life, and then when your best friend comes to you and say, I'm having a heartbreak, you're like, dude, I know. Yeah. I feel it, man. I'm right there with you. I'm empathizing. I'm not just saying, I'm empathizing with you. And that's the beauty of it. And you're laughing. You're actually laughing. You know, when you're in love, you see the person, you're like, God damn, how on earth did I got you? Oh, let's be together forever. You know?
So you kind of saying that actually by acting, it's enabled you to really magnify life's moments.
Yes.
Oh, wow, you don't need any.
You
That's the best
never
thing
know.
about you, mate.
Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. I kind of like that. That's massive, and I hope that that's what a lot of people were taking out of the last few years. You know, being in lockdown, is that the smaller things mean just as much as the big things.
God, yes.
And things happen for a reason. You know,
Yes.
like that's I think one of the biggest parts. So if that's enabled you to really magnify and live life and enjoy it and breathe it in, that's like huge.
Yes, that's what I do every day.
Are you able? Oh, this is interesting. Are you able to pass that down through your teaching as well? Like, how do you?
Yes.
How do you communicate that to kids nowadays that are stuck in front of a screen all the time, that they're on their phones? How do you get them to just breathe it all in and not take it all for granted?
Well, you know, with obviously with physical work, you know, with being in the moment, you know, a phrase that you do a lot in theater is being in the here and the now. You know, there's no way you can do any kind of acting if you're not in the here and the now. And that's basically what you bring. So, for example, if I'm teaching to little children, toddlers and everything, it's very easy. You know, they have all this imagination. So if I say, you know, let's believe we're dinosaurs, they actually go, wow, I'm a dinosaur, you know, they come and attack you, you know.
And they've got no cares in the world as well.
No cares in the world, you know, and then you say, well, what's the dinosaur doing? And they say, well, you know, the dinosaur in space. And you're like, well, okay, well, yeah, why not? You know, of course the dinosaur in space. What else would it be? You know, let's go to space with the dinosaur. You know, and then you can see how it changes. You know, if you go a little bit older, you know, you say, oh, let's do a dinosaur. And they say, well, what kind of dinosaur? I'm like, dude, whatever that. No. Do you want a T-Rex? Do you want to, you know? And you're like, fine, whatever, you know. So that's why you have to teach them again, you know. It's okay, whatever kind of dinosaur do you want, you know. There's nothing wrong. Just do the dinosaur.
And is that why on some of these initial kind of movement classes or acting classes, they just teach them just to be silly and just blare out noises and laugh and move freely, because it just breaks down those inhibitions and just, I guess, the fear of being silly?
I think it breaks down all the walls that society has put on you that you have no idea. Like, you know, how many things have you not done because of thinking, well, that's not allowed, or that's not what I'm supposed to be doing, or that's not, you know.
That's a whole nother show.
Exactly. You know what I mean? But that's what you do. So if I want you to be a character and you say, well, no, I'm like, dude, that's not the character. That's you. That's you in your own ghosts and your own past and your own trauma and your own life, which is fine. So we just have to figure out a way of pushing through that to be able to get to the emotion.
So I'm curious now, where do you think that gets lost? So you recognised earlier on that we go through things at certain stages of our life: grief, heartbreak, divorce. funerals and that kind of stuff. Where do you think we lose our way a little bit? Yeah, and I'm not saying, it's 13,
No.
But what kind of stages do you think that kind of fun gets sucked out or gets lost?
I believe it's...
Not with you, obviously.
No, please. Look at me. I'm wearing a hat.
Love the hat, by the way. Kind of wanted to borrow the hat for this show.
I think it's your own story. I think we all have different ways that we live life. I think we all have different traumas, different baggage. And I think we all lose something in a different times in our lives. I can't say that it's, maybe I could say, well, maybe it's impurity, but who knows, maybe it's a little bit later. Maybe you were great at that and then, you have a heartbreak at 25 that kind of crushed your soul. Maybe you lost someone when you were 13. You can't really pinpoint because every individual is different. Every person is a world. So that's what I'm saying. Take the time to know the person that you're with, the person that you want to meet, because they have their own story. And, if you actually spend time with the person that you love, then you realize, oh my God, like you're this amazing person behind all this, So every person is different, I guess.
I'm with you there.
It's very lovely.
Now I've got a question. Do you want a tissue, mate?
I've drifted off quite a lot, thinking of many things. It's been lovely. This has been a great conversation.
You did a bit of work on Pete's Dragon.
Oh my God, yes! When I was little,
that was the first Disney film I ever saw. Pete's Dragon, cracking Disney film.
I know.
You did an adaptation of that.
Yeah.
So what did you do? When I saw that, I was like, got to ask.
I think I was 7. I was 7 years old, 7 or 8. What year is it? 1990 something.
I'll be honest, I did not write that.
That's
down.
fine. It's probably 1997. I was 7 or 8. I was one of the big. Oh my God. To be a child again.
That wasn't Adriano crying as well. That was Diana.
No, that's off mic.
But you see, if you were comfortable with your emotions, you wouldn't have any troubles with it.
I need to explore.
Exactly. You see, you wouldn't have to be a manly man.
Yeah, it's true.
What you see? No, I was just one of the villagers and everything, and I remember that I used to dance, and I used to, because I was 7 or 8. They give you like 10 lines and the whole thing. But
Perfect.
I would say, I would there and say it, and my mom and dad would help me rehearse it, and I would be like, and then go back and then dance. It was amazing. It was amazing. Yeah. The first play that I did was Annie, orphan, and obviously I was one of the orphans, and I was like, it was amazing. It was amazing. It was good.
I love the sparkle in your eye. You clearly love it. Are you, I guess, in Sydney? Like, you moved to Sydney, your journey's brought you here. I know you've got family here. I guess for you, what does Sydney present to you as an opportunity wise? Is it still in the theatre? Have we got enough of a scene here? Is it more that transition into TV, film? Like, what's the goal here?
I don't know yet. You see, I'm having a bit of
trouble. Just in
trouble.
case we've got people listening.
Yes, so I'm having a bit of trouble, I think, finding my people. I always think maybe it's because I didn't study here. It's very hard for me to try to find people. I've come to see a few plays and everything, but I'm not sure yet how to dig in. I think that's my own fault. I'll take responsibility for that. Also, the pandemic didn't help, to be honest. I was a bit lost, I don't know. I think it can be theatre. I think it can be, maybe theatre and film. I don't know. I think it has so many opportunities that I haven't explored yet. And I need to do that. Yep. Otherwise, what's the point? Well, that's my dad. What's the point of you being over there? God damn it, Dad. I'm sorry.
I think you should be on stand-up comedy at the moment.
I reckon.
I'm sorry, Dad. But yeah. I don't know. I think I can be everything, So whoever is listening, please, I can do it. Whatever you need.
Nice.
Well, so before we wrap up, are you done, by the way? Are you still reflecting? You still reflecting?
I am a little bit.
I'm looking forward to the debrief on this one. So you mentioned COVID a lot. Obviously, a lot of our listeners have been in the same situation all over the world. What have you, I guess, taken out of COVID for yourself that you will take forward? What are some of the things you've learned that you will take forward into, let's call it post-COVID?
I think it was pausing. I think a lot of people did that. But for me I started at 7 and I never stopped doing theatre. And I'm 37 now. So
30 years.
30 years. And it was the first time that I said, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do theater and everything. I've always said that my relationship with theater is like a boyfriend thing, you know, like a long relationship. So I fell in love with him, and, you know, we had a few fights over the years and everything, but we always come back to it. And I thought for me, these 2 years were a bit like, well, I'm going to let you go. I'm still going to do things, but I'm going to let you go. If you are for me, then I will still love you. And he did come back, the bastard.
Like a dog.
Like a dog. No, because, you know, obviously when you're in a big city and everything, you see everything. Like you see your jobs, and you think like, oh my God, look at all the other jobs that people do, you know, like real jobs. And you're like, well, why am I here, you know, dragging myself through the mud, you know, suffering for my art. And then, you know, it's still there. The love, the passion is still there. So for me, what I learned was I do love theater. It was just, you know, more like a real thing, you know, and to be quiet and to reflect and to understand that, you know, life throws us very hard things. But if we are with ourselves and if we have a nice community and if we have people that we love and that they love us, you don't need a lot of people. Honestly, you need 1, 2 good friends, a person that you love, you know, your husband, wife, whatever, and you're done. You don't need anything else. Honestly, like, you're done, mate.
Good food and wine.
Yeah. Not even that. I mean, just have the other person, you're fine.
Yeah. I love it. Well, look, if people are listening and they've been fully entertained as we have by your various accents, your gesticulation. Is that even a word?
No, mate.
Your movement.
Yeah, movement.
Or they want to learn more actually about movement director, intimacy director, get involved. How do they reach out?
Oh, so I have my Instagram. I'm in the gram. So it's at, did I say it in Spanish? Well, Diana Paola Alvarado. And then I also have it, my in the Instagram is also my theater, my theater company, which is La Fábrica de Microbios. So the factory of microbes, but I can't, it's in Spanish anyway. And Facebook, you also find me with my name. And I have my WhatsApp, which is still in construction, but I can say it, is dianapaolaalvarado.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We will definitely put that in the show notes. Please don't ask me to spell that.
Yeah. Well, we're going to need those. You're going to have to send those to us.
Yeah, okay.
Because John can't spell. Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on, sharing your love for theatre.
Yeah,
you're clearly passionate about it. Certainly infectious as well. And I look forward to seeing you on the stage, on the screen, and maybe asking a few questions as well.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Cheers, Diana.
Thank you, guys.
Hola.
Ciao.
Bye.